What's up, family? So, I want to talk about this lie. It's a lie that we often believe and is very prevalent in our society. We're told it by speakers, by preachers, by our parents, even by some of our teachers. And although we're told it so much and we often believe it, it really isn't true. And the lie is that if you can believe it, you can achieve it. And I want to dispel that rumor right now. That is not true. That just because you can believe in something doesn't mean that you can achieve it. For example, if I believe that I could fly, just because I believe it doesn't mean that when I jump off a roof that I'm going to spread wings and start soaring through the air. It's just not going to happen. And yes, that's a very exaggerated example. But even take, for instance, let's say I wanted to be a great statistician. I can believe that I could be a great statistician all I want, but I'm not that good at math. And therefore, you probably have to be pretty good at math to be a great statistician. And so that's probably not in the cards for me. And so when you talk about believing and achieving, we must recognize that believing and achieving are often two very, very separate things. That just because you believe in something doesn't mean that it's going to be the very thing that happens. Now, don't get me wrong, believing is very significant to our success. And if we don't believe in ourselves and that we can do something or something can happen, it most likely won't. And so believing is very, very significant, but it's not the whole story. The other part of that is that we have to believe and be going after the right things. Like I said, I'm not good at math, and so it would make no sense for me to be or to try to be a great statistician. However, based on my gifting, my experience, my skills, my knowledge, there are some things that it does make more sense for me to go after and me to pursue. And so, for all of our lives, we have to be pursuing the right thing, not just something that we like, not even just something that we have a passion for. We have to figure out, like, what are my strengths? What am I good at? What is my gifting? And what really aligns and kind of connects with some of the things that I'm passionate about and some of my past experiences to figure out what is the right thing for us to be doing, or the right thing that I should be going after, and not just something I want to go after because I like it or because I believe it can happen. But not only that, when you talk about believing and achieving and how that's not really true, it's not only because we must be believing and going after the right things, but there's also a certain set of things or action steps that we must take in order to get to whatever we're believing for. That if just because you're believing in something doesn't mean that you're going to achieve it, especially if you're not doing anything to get there. That believing but not working for it and not working towards it really makes your belief useless. That's really why it says that faith without works is dead. That if you're not doing anything about it, you'll never actually accomplish anything. And so when we talk about putting action to the things that we believe, we must recognize that our action must be one, concise, and it must be consistent, and it must be committed. Concise, consistent, and committed. First of all, your actions that you're taking, they must be concise. In other words, dream big, but start small. That yes, have the huge dream, have this great thing that you want to go after, but recognize that it's not going to start out that way. That the way you may see it in your mind is not the way that it's going to look like in your life, at least not at the beginning. But be willing to take the small steps in order to get there. There's an old proverb that says that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And so often we can focus on the 1,000 miles and all that it would take to get there, and it either one gives us this false excitement if we're not actually doing what we need to be doing, or it can be discouraging to us because we see how long the journey is. But the focus can't be on the 1,000-mile journey. It has to be focused on that next step that you need to take. And so when trying to pursue success and pursue your dreams and pursue your passions, recognize that while you may dream big, you must be willing to start small and have very concise and specific steps in order for you to get there. You have to have a plan of action, of the things that here's what I'm going to do to get to where I want to be. And once you have those steps and once you have that plan of what you're going to do that is concise and it makes sense and is specific, you then must be able to put those things into practice consistently. Yes, that's the next thing, is that not only must it be concise, it must also be consistent. And all consistent means is that you're getting closer to your goal every single day. I am so confident that doing a lot one day and not doing anything for another 2 weeks is not nearly as effective as doing a little bit every single day. Because it's really your daily schedule that determines the success that you'll have in life. It is what you do on a day-to-day basis that really determine where you're going to go and whether or not you're going to really reach your goal. And so, when you take a look at what you do every day, is it really moving you towards your dream? Is it really moving you towards where you want to be in your life? Or is it kind of just busy work? Because just because you're active doesn't mean you're being productive, doesn't mean that you're actually getting anywhere. You're doing things, but may not be getting anywhere. May not be getting closer to your dream. And so start to take an assessment of what it is that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis and whether or not it's actually moving you towards your success. Because unfortunately, the things that make the most impact on our success and the most impact on our improvement as an individual and helps us maximize our potential, all those things, while they're so vitally important, are often not quite urgent. And what I mean by that is that they can always be put off to later. And we can always start tomorrow or start next week, next month, next year, make it our New Year's resolution, or whatever the case may be is. And we can always put those things off because we have so many other obligations in our lives. But what I want to tell you is that if it's your dream, it's important enough to put it on your calendar. If it really means a lot, it's important enough to go into your daily schedule so that you can move forward in it and get closer to it every day. And if it's not important enough for that, you probably need to get another dream. And so, first, it must be concise, it must be consistent, but also must be committed. And all committed means is that your why must be bigger than your why not. Because here's the truth of the matter. What you want out of life is going to take longer and be harder than you desire for it to be. It's not going to go that smooth. You're going to fail. You're going to have some hard times. But even throughout all of those difficult moments, the driving force and that helps us to reach our dream, kind of like the engine and all of that, is our knowledge of why we're doing what we're doing. That you have to know your why. Because why not will always show up at your door. Your why, that's something that you're going to have to go find and you're going to have to try to seek out and figure out why it is that I want to do this. Why do I want to accomplish this? Why is this my dream? But all the reasons of why it can't happen and why it won't happen and why you're not the person for the job, they'll come to your door. Matter of fact, they'll kick your door in and come into your house being your mind. They're very willing to come in and wreak havoc in your life. That you'll always have a reason as to why you can do it and why it can't be done. But you have to remember why you're doing what you're doing. That then drives your commitment. Because then, even when it is hard and when it is difficult and when it can get frustrating, you remember, this is why I'm doing it. This is why I'm doing this every day, although it seems hard. This is why I'm doing this every day, even though it seems like I'm not getting anywhere. Because I remember my purpose. I remember why I'm trying to go after this. And when your action is concise, when it's consistent, and when it's committed, I can't say how long it's going to take. But what I can guarantee you is that whatever you're believing for, if you put that action behind it, then you can achieve it. As long as it's the right thing for your life. And so I challenge you to assess where you are, to assess what you're doing, and where you want to go in life, and figure out, am I doing the right things to get there? Because in the end, we'll find out that a dream without action is just sleep. And so be willing to put in the action necessary to get to where you want to be. And so I hope this was helpful. I hope this was beneficial to your day, and I'm glad that you watched it. I thank you and I appreciate you so much for that. Be willing to like it, share it, or whatever. Maybe there's somebody you know that it may be beneficial to. Definitely share it with them. Give them this, and I challenge you all to put action to your dream. To do and go after what it is that you're believing for. But remember that you have to do the work to get there. Because life won't give you what you want. Life gives you what you work towards. So be willing to put that action in today. And so have a great day. And remember, you matter.